Join us.
Oh,
Bill.
shoot, this can. Okay, well, let's do this.
No, you think they'd get mad? It's free promotion.
No, they're not gonna get mad. I just in general don't like, and I have your stuff, so I want to have your stuff in the front.
I'm drinking from the can. That way the glass stays full. Nice.
Are we on, Bill?
We are on.
Active.
Okay. Awesome. So cam is there, right? But that's the monitor if you want to check your hair.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's just some people start looking in that, which is.
I try not to look at it.
Yeah. All right, Bill, come join us.
In case I change my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, just in case.
I know I said I wanted water, but.
Well, let's concentrate on Noah.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
put this down.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's concentrate on that.
Let's concentrate on harmony
all
mushrooms.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us today for 2 Floridian. We can see your chats on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. We're here today with Noah Schleifer, the founder of Harmony Mushrooms.
Company.
Company.
So,
That's
yeah.
right.
It's critical, right? The CEO.
I think it's fine. Either way. I don't know. I'm thinking about rebranding because it's simpler, less syllables, it's easier for people.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the
I think it
harmony
officially has to have that part at the end, but you don't have to tell it.
Is that
Okay.
true?
Yeah. When you
Good to know.
incorporate,
Yeah.
you have to pick one. It can be like an INC or
Or an
a
LLC.
CO or a
Oh.
CORP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every type of business is one of those things, but it doesn't have to be in your.
Yeah, you can
in your-
DBA also. So many
Yeah.
acronyms, you
Yeah,
know?
that's right.
You can
America
DBA your
loves
LLC.
acronym. Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
So, maybe let's start. Tell us a
That
bit
was
about
the
these.
most obvious thing
Yeah,
that was
let's-
right in
tell
front
us
of our eyes.
Oh,
about
yeah.
these beautiful mushrooms.
Yeah.
What type of mushrooms did you bring?
I like
with
to
us?
bring gifts. You don't want to show up empty-handed, so I just brought some of our favorite mushrooms to grow, some of my favorite mushrooms to grow as well, but, I speak for the team. So we have reishi over here is the more sporadic, kind of multicolored one.
So pretty. I've never seen the one fresh.
Yeah,
So
and
I
it's,
get them like
I'm
in
going
my
to shine a
tea.
light on it.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's fresh, it's more fragrant, has like a kind of starchy aroma. But it's a medicinal mushroom. It's very tough and leathery and woody. It's just one of my favorites to grow because it's very slow and you get to just kind of watch it
Wow,
spiral
what a
out.
special gift.
And
Thank you.
it's so fun to grow because it can be like a work of art. It's phototropic, so it'll grow towards light. So if you're moving where the light source is growing, a lot of people make like reishi sculptures out of it.
I just wanted to say it looks like this
It looks like coral.
or like organic architecture,
Right,
that
yeah.
mimics the
For
organic.
sure.
Is this a big example of one? It looks massive to me.
They can get pretty insane, especially if you're working with different varieties. Like some people specially, they do genetic selection to find ones that'll grow longer and faster. So you have these huge reishi sculptures that people grow.
Wow.
This one's more of a dense cluster, but it's a commercial grade, because we grow it to make our extracts, or if you're at home, you just brew it into a tea, you just steep it,
Okay, that was my next question. Is
Yeah.
how do you consume that? So tea.
Yeah, you just cut it up and put it into a tea. Well, you have to boil it for like 2 hours, so it's not like a 5-minute steep. You really got to get all the...
So we're not picking pieces off this guy to nosh on them.
You
need to
probably
cook it
could,
down.
but it wouldn't be very good. I do it sometimes as not a dare, but like to show. It's like, you can eat it. Really, the ends where it's white are going to be softer, but it's incredibly bitter. It is
Are
so
these
unique.
the fruiting bodies like on some mushrooms? I know that the ends that balloon out are the fruiting body
Yeah.
of the mushroom. Is that the case with the
For
reishi?
sure, yeah. This one, it's typically when you see it in the wild, it's a shelf. It can be growing out of the side of a tree. It has the concentric circles, white and then yellow and orange. Very distinct. Florida native, so you
Wow.
find it all over here. I found it just like out on walks. It's beautiful. But we grow it. You can see the bag that it's in that's now peeled down. We'll have that bag sealed, except for a little air filter. So it's trying to find air, and it's like, reaching. So it's called antler reishi whenever it looks like this.
Mhm.
Antler. Oh yeah.
'Cause it looks like antlers.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wow, what a gorgeous thing.
Yeah, and so we have we'll grow about 60 pounds of this. We'll harvest that much. It takes about a few months for it to get this size, but it's so worth it. Yeah, and then we have lion's mane, the other one, very famous,
love
very
that.
popular right now.
Yes.
Well, if you look at the Google search trends for lion's mane over like 5 years, it's just up and away. It's crazy. So it's becoming
lion's
very...
mane is amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's. I first found out that it could work with any recipe where I cook what. Sorry, I can't speak suddenly. It would be a good
It's a lion's mane.
substitution for lobster in any recipe.
Yeah, agree. Definitely.
Oh.
That, lobster or crab or just meat, or as a complement to meat. I'm like, it can substitute meat or it can complement it. I
Right,
think it works
yeah.
great for that. But mostly my focus is the medicinal side. It's just been super impactful for like people that I love. So I'm like, let's just put all the eggs into this basket and just kind of see where that takes me, and it's been awesome so far.
So when you say that, do you mean you don't use it in your meals, or
I mean,
you just extract mainly and consume it this way?
I think it's more impactful as a medicinal
Mm-hmm.
option. Like, we can grow a lot of mushrooms and sell them fresh, but whenever we're extracting it and making it into like a medicinal supplement, we're able to kind of stretch the value of the mushroom much further.
Right.
So it's where it's like you can, like, the biggest thing is my dad has sciatica. So like my whole life I've seen him struggle with that, and I was already growing mushrooms like a couple years ago, and I was making the extracts, and then I was reading it's like it helps with, nerve regeneration and inflammation. I was like, that probably like is a spinal issue, so why wouldn't it help? And then it's like changed his life. So after that, I was like, I just gotta do more of this, because that's like what I want to do is, as a business owner, you want to help people, you want to solve problems.
Absolutely, I love that.
And that's like, I'm in some of these like sciatica pain relief groups on Facebook, even though I personally don't have it. But it's so much suffering, and it's incredible, because it's like people are, you have to be on prescriptions, surgeries, some of these over-the-counter medications you just become dependent on, because otherwise you're in horrific pain.
Yeah.
And it's like so many things just ameliorate it or just like mask it. But to have something that can potentially truly heal it and regenerate is like huge. But yeah, it seems so hopeless. So you just meet all these people who are absolutely hopeless, and you just want to help them.
Now, the supplement market is infamously littered with people who've poorly produced things,
Right.
or who've taken an idea out of a study that worked and failed in the delivery of it.
For sure.
Tell us a little bit about how, I know we buy your mushrooms, we take them, we eat them, as well as the extracts. So we know firsthand that we like them. But tell me a little bit about the science behind that. What's different between those processes versus what you've got?
You mean for the extracts, for the supplements?
Yeah, like why is this different than things I've seen in the stores that you get a lot of times off the shelf that just don't seem to have much benefit?
There can be a variety of reasons. Typically, the most common thing, the cheapest supplement to produce is like a mushroom powder, like a capsule, and then followed by like mushroom coffee, which isn't really a supplement. It's kind of, it's
a trend.
Yeah, we can have that conversation later. It's a super interesting thing. But mushroom capsules, typically you're getting a dehydrated powderized mushroom. So the medicinal compounds, your terpenes, triterpenes, all of the alcohol-soluble compounds haven't been extracted, and they're not bioavailable. So like they're locked behind the cell wall of the mushroom, which is like chitin. It's the same material you find in crab shells. Super hard for your body to break down, can cause indigestion. So that's like the main qualm I have with capsules. Some people have no problem with them, but it's going to require a higher dosage, because you have to think there's a lot of things in the mushroom that aren't a medicinal compound, that are, they might be...
Sure, the body of the mushroom.
For sure, exactly. There's a lot of empty space.
And I guess also a lot of load for the body to process.
Exactly, because the body's going to have to do what we're doing in an extraction process. So whenever we make a liquid extract, especially if it's dual extracted, meaning water and alcohol extracted, it's just going to be more concentrated and more bioavailable, and produces results. Like a lot of times whenever I have the conversation with people, they talk about taking mushroom capsules. I'm like, are you getting results? And they're like, I don't know. And it should be night and day. It should be like, obvious. So if people are like, kind of, it's like, that's typically the feedback that I get.
Wow. So how long does it take dual extract? It sounds so meticulous.
It can be done really simply, because tinctures, it's a tincture extract, and we've been doing that for thousands of years as humans, since we pretty much discovered alcohol and just left things soaking in it, But it's can be a 2-week to 4-week, 6-week process, something like that. We do 4 to 6 weeks, because it's just, I think longer time is just better. But it's just, a high ABV alcohol. We use organic cane alcohol because it's just, the best for extraction and also for your health, because the alternative, some people use like a grain alcohol, which we were using when we first started, because it's cheaper and it's easily available, but it's like, then you're dealing with pesticides, and it's not organic, and it's grain, so it's not gluten-free. So it just creates a lot of issues, and also doesn't extract as efficiently. So
isn't it fascinating how it never seems to?
Yeah.
How the organic and natural compounds just always seem better.
Yeah.
And you would think that if you went through all the trouble to make something that didn't exist before, it would have improved qualities.
Right.
And it never seems to.
Right, yeah. You think, but also it comes with the mass production of it, like, quality's going to go way down. But the whole organic everything, it's like ancient technology, and we've gotten so far away from it. It's like it needs less. Things need less. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we always joke that now you pay more to have less things added to your stuff.
I see that everywhere. It's
Yeah.
insane. No, it's so
Yeah.
true. We were using like at our markets, we get little produce cartons, and they have a green dye in them, so that comes out on the mushrooms. So we stopped using them. We're like, okay, but I searched everywhere for an undyed, same exact product. I found one manufacturer in Canada, and it's like 10 times the cost. I'm like, why is having one without the green dye so much more expensive?
Yeah.
Yeah, my locally homegrown USB cables are also pretty expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
They use single core
Yeah.
copper that they pull from one single pull.
yeah. Small
So
batch
many-
crafted artisan. Yeah.
Yeah, so many Newton meters per twist
Yeah.
and like all kinds of stuff. It's crazy.
But they're not GMO.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
So you brought again.
Those are just
wonderful-
gifts for you too. So.
Thank you so
for
much.
sure, yeah.
Oh, this is so kind of you.
The
So
lion's
we,
mane and reishi extracts are what we have here, and we
yeah, because they're matching, right? This
Yeah,
is the set.
the matching set, yeah,
This is
exactly,
the
so I
matching set. Are you
Yeah.
are you
Show the
crawling to the
camera,
cam?
yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the lion's mane and the reishi extract.
Is it
Okay.
rishi or reishi?
Both are good.
Okay,
You know,
I call
reishi,
it
reishi.
reishi.
I've heard both, and
Okay.
there's not a right and wrong answer.
So I took lion's mane before. I think this is when we met a couple of years ago.
Right.
I got you, and then I'm taking out the cordyceps. I maybe it's like a very annoying and boring question that you had to answer thousands of times. But
Ready
can
for
you
it.
just like break it down quickly? What are cordyceps for? What are reishi for? What
Oh
is
yeah, for
lion's mane
sure. That's the one that we're missing is cordyceps, which is a beautiful little Cheeto mushroom. I'll just talk about that really
There's
quick.
some ants outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a parasitic fungus, so it grows on a living
Oh.
organism. Typically, this is Cordyceps sinensis, which is like one of the more popular ones. So these are saprophytic, meaning they grow on dead or decaying material like fallen trees. But Cordyceps is parasitic, so it grows on living organisms,
Oh my
caterpillars,
gosh.
ants. It's a zombie fungus.
How do you grow yours?
We grow Cordyceps militaris, which is a different species, but very similar, and we can grow that on a supplemented brown rice substrate.
Oh,
So
okay.
you actually just make it in a rice cooker. You know, you just take the brown rice like you would make normal rice, and the process of cooking that rice and adding all the nutrients to it, it pasteurizes it, so that way there's no bacteria. And then in a clean environment, you can add your Cordyceps mycelium, and it'll grow, and then you'll have like a cake that grows Cordyceps mushrooms.
So that type of cordyceps is not like the parasite.
Parasitic,
type?
yeah, right? Exactly.
Oh, okay. So not all cordyceps are like zombie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right.
Yeah,
I feel
but
better.
yeah, Cordyceps is
You-
I've been,
you
ta-
want
I've been
some
taking that for a month.
Yeah.
Some zombie-free cordyceps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some
yes.
innocent,
Yeah.
innocent
And I wonder if
cordyceps.
that makes it vegan if it grows on insects. You know, I'm not sure what the.
Oh, good question.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, but
Because
this
it's an
is
animal product.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's
what if
the
it grew on-
gray area for me in all
What if
that
it grew on
plant-based.
phytoplankton?
Right.
You know, what would it be then?
Right.
I wonder if it would affect also the taste.
Yeah.
It probably would, because I hear that shiitakes grown on logs taste way better than shiitakes grown in like filter patch bags. I mean, obviously they're
You're
using.
gonna say ants.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything
yeah.
tastes better
Yeah.
than things grown in
Yeah,
ants.
we don't like. Yeah, I bet the ant ones would probably taste really good. They're very
Really?
popular overseas in like the Himalayas
Yeah,
because it's a
they
huge
are.
industry. People go forage Cordyceps sinensis on the hills of the Himalayas, and they bring them to the market and sell them.
Super
But
expensive.
why is it so popular? Because it has like
Because of the
nutritional-
medicinal benefits. It's good for like immunity. It's good for energy. It's good
Any
for
cordyceps or those on the
both. I mean, it's Cordyceps. It's like the genus, and of course, we're live. Somebody fact checked by everybody. They're like, actually,
Well,
everyone
we'll
read
see
it.
if you have a big
Right.
mushroom start to grow out of
Yeah,
the back of
for
your
sure.
head.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, you know,
Worse things could happen.
yeah.
Well, can we dial back to the,
Sure.
so we started talking about cordyceps. So
Right.
like out of lion's mane, I'm at the market. I'm seeing this
Right.
three.
Yeah.
So how should I decide which one I need?
Well, they're all so good. I'll go
Take
back to
all
cordyceps.
three.
Yeah, cordyceps for, like I said, energy, immunity. It also regulates hormones. It's been shown to bolster testosterone production in men and then reduce the catabolism of testosterone. So that's for someone like me. I exercise a lot, and that's super beneficial. Lion's mane is for cognitive function, focus, mental clarity. It's anything nervous system related. So all of them affect different systems in the body, and whenever you have all of them, then you have harmony. You know what I mean? So,
Nice.
yeah, but the reishi is good for blood pressure, lowers the blood pressure,
Oh.
improves kidney health, and it also strengthens the immune system. There's a lot of technical terms. It's an immunomodulator, so it reduces
Reishi.
inflammation. Yes,
Uh-huh.
correct. Reduces inflammation, and then it helps like white blood cell response, and it just tunes your immune system to where it can better respond without like overinflammation and overreacting to stuff. So
Wow.
super interesting.
Yeah, that's just incredible. Okay, so reishi, immune, blood system,
Right.
circular system, kidneys,
Right.
So you got
lion's
like
mane,
mind, body, and spirit there.
nervous
Pretty-
system,
yeah.
yeah, electrical system, and it's
The electrical system, yeah. That's good. That's
and
true.
then the cordyceps, energy,
Right.
hormone regulation.
Also increases oxygen absorption in the blood, so
Okay,
it
so
helps
the
with recovery.
recovery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
okay.
cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for the breakdown because
Oh.
like I'm like
Yeah, of course. And of course, like these are just the first ones that we are
Right.
trying. As we perfect it, then we want to add a new variety. So the next thing I'm looking at is turkey tail because it's huge anti-tumor properties.
oh,
You know, it's
wow.
great for people who are recovering from serious illnesses.
Right.
So
Is
that'll
it
be fun.
easy to grow?
I think it'll grow the same as reishi. Everything I've read, but of course, when we're learning a new variety, there's certain quirks, and there's especially like things like lion's mane when you're growing it commercially. There's so many things that like it's a sensitive organism,
Yeah,
and so it needs
is.
the right conditions.
Yeah, I
He
tried to grow.
yes,
Thank you.
twice.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So I found it was very difficult to get it to where, like, your lion's mane is consistent throughout in its texture.
And it's so flaky and yeah.
My
it's-
lion's mane was rubbery the more you got
Yes.
near the bottom.
Yeah,
It was the edge started to change color
Right.
faster.
understood. Been there. I always tell people I've failed growing mushrooms more times than I've grown mushrooms, and that's so much of it is just like, you know, even at the scale we're growing 400 pounds of mushrooms in a week. We don't always do that because some markets can fluctuate, so we want to just kind of meet demand. But at that scale, if we have mushrooms that look like that, or they're balding, or they just didn't come in right, or too moist,
Right.
it's a huge L.
Yeah.
So we tried to just learn from the mushrooms, and this last harvest we did is like, oh, perfect, you know. So we do experience the same qualms as the home grower, just on a huge scale. Like if the humidifier is turned up too much, then it can cause moisture to land on top of the mushroom, and then it won't form the teeth consistently. It'll be balding.
Yeah.
But also because I've experienced all these, trials and tribulations with growing, I'm so happy to share with people. People always reach out that like people I would never expect to be into this stuff. They'll reach out and they'll have questions, and I'm like, open source the information for sure. Like
Thank
I would
you.
never hold it's.
So
They-
I find you in a special class of successful business owners who do this, who share all the tips, all
Yeah,
the
for
secrets,
sure.
and help people.
Yeah, it's the way
Tell
to
us
go.
how do you do that? Why aren't you worried someone's going to steal your idea and open up another mushroom shop next to you?
I'm not worried about it. People are going to steal my ideas, so I might as well be there to support them.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? Well, I think
Like mushrooms, you're
for
just
sure.
pouring them out.
yeah, you can't withhold all of the information. When you take wisdom from the universe, you have to give it back. So it just balances it out, and it always comes back in beautiful ways where people like it's just I've never been wronged by someone like using the same ideas. I got this from someone who was already doing it. You know what I mean? So nothing new under the sun. Also, when we open source the information, we're going to learn more from each other. Like everyone's going to have a different perspective.
Yeah.
So those who don't know teach, or those who know teach something.
Mhm.
Those who learn teach. I think is the saying. But all of those are true.
So how did it start? Since we're kind of going to the roots.
Well, this is not an uncommon tale. This isn't something unique to me, but I had a psychedelic experience. I'm not sure if we're allowed to say it on Twitch,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
That
my
goes
channel's already
Right.
already let's say flagged for such
For
behavior.
sure.
But it
yeah.
is not. I mean.
Yeah, well, it's science.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
listed
but
as an
also-
adult, but it is listed for adult
Oh,
conversations.
okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna get into some adult conversations here. I had a profound
Disclaimer.
experience. It was beautiful and all that. It's, as you'd expect. And I was like, well, how do you grow these? And I learned how to do that. And then I was like, they're just open up a world of all the stuff that you could do. And I'm a very, mission-driven person. So I'm like always trying to find that purpose where I can give. And what an amazing way to give, because it's like it is a bottomless well that you can draw from, where it's like you can feed people. It's medicinal. It seems to do no wrong. It seems like there's not like a bad side of it. And if there is, then we're always able to pivot. But I feel like as a business owner, you're looking to help people. You know what I mean? That's just the best thing you can do is what can you give, and then you want to kind of do no wrong. So
Right,
it's a great avenue for that. But then obviously I had to stop growing other mushrooms once I was operating as a business, and it's like my address is out there. So I want to keep things legit because it allows me to have the impact that I want to have. But I definitely,
Absolutely.
at every market, I get the question like, "Do you grow magic mushrooms?" No, you don't. It's just, I want a mission, so I have to just play by the rules.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
But if the
that's
rules
great.
change,
They are changing.
I
The
think
rules are
that's
changing.
great.
Um.
I commonly will tell people I've had lots of problems that came from trying to bend the rules with illicit drugs, but I never had any problems that came from just taking them myself.
for
There are
sure,
problems
yeah,
with selling them
yeah,
and
for
problems
sure,
with the
yeah,
market related to them.
right, yeah,
But if you're just, if you're just enjoying them
right.
personally,
I mean, if the VA is on the path to giving that to veterans for PTSD treatment, I feel like it's we're
Yeah.
going in the right direction.
Mhm.
About time they do
Without a doubt.
something.
Can I ask you, and you don't have to
Sure.
answer, the idea for harmony mushroom, did you receive it in one of your explorations on magic?
No, it was shortly thereafter. It wasn't a direct like I
Mhm.
wasn't in the moment, but there are other profound, transmissions that you receive, for lack of a
That
better
were kind of
explanation.
conducive
For
to.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, but a lot of it was just like, this is amazing. Everyone should do this all the time. It was pretty much exactly like what I was thinking. But it was more. There's more indirect things with themes of giving and teaching that it's like this allows me to have that as an avenue where I can give back. So it's been awesome.
So great.
it's really wonderful.
And I like
yeah.
how I guess like the initial motivation or drive to research, perfect, was helping your family and friends
Oh, for
initially,
sure. It's
right?
been amazing. And that's something that is infinitely scalable too. Like once I found out that it can help my dad, or my mom has rheumatoid arthritis, and same thing, it was
Oh
able to
my
help her. And
gosh.
she is a seamstress, so she needs her hands.
Right.
And yeah, just being able to help them, it's like, okay, let's. At this point, there are people who I was just giving it away to, like, oh, you have nerve damage or sciatica. Let me know if this works for you. And then
Mm,
just the feedback that we get, like I'll get reviews on my website from people I've never met across the
mm.
country, and I'm just like blown away. And it just keeps adding fuel to the fire. Where it's like, clearly I'm doing something right here. You know what I mean?
So for people who was like your mom was this kind of autoimmune disorder, it would be more lion's mane, right?
That's what I've seen. I mean, all mushrooms have anti-inflammatory properties, but lion's mane seems to be doing the most heavy lifting for people. I take reishi if I'm like feeling sick or coming down with something, but I haven't had this. There's people who have who take blood pressure prescriptions and they want to have a more holistic approach, and that's been helpful for them. But as far as like just success stories and just overcoming things, lion's mane continues to astound me.
Wow.
I have more stories we can get into as well if you guys want
Oh.
to hear another one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So-
I was like, yeah,
You know,
tell us more
I
tales.
like Paul Stamets, and Paul Stamets
Yeah.
is all about lion's mane too.
For sure, yeah, it's been amazing, and he's doing some heavy lifting with all of his research and he keeps going forward in the industry. As a educator and as a business owner, I started like opening up to internships because people who are in school for this is a good place where they can come and work and learn kind of a commercial
Wow.
version of what they want to pursue and get some hands-on experience. And I had this new guy start, and I knew that he had a traumatic brain injury. He messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I used lion's mane to recover from a traumatic brain injury," and I was like, "That's insane." And I wanted to get to know him, so I was like, "Yeah, you can start summer," And so I finally talked to him about it because I never really brought it up. You know what I mean? It wasn't like something obvious. You could tell, that there was some recovery that had happened. But he told me the story, and it blew me away. He was, he's a young guy, so he was experimenting with some psychedelic mushrooms with some friends. We've all been there. But at least in my research, if someone is predisposed to a psychotic break, any sort of mind-altering drug is going to bring that out early. Not an expert, not a doctor here, but I've just seen
Right,
it happen, and I've read about it. Like, it can happen with cannabis. If someone's predisposed to schizophrenia, it can bring that out early.
That's right.
Because typically they'll have that break anyway, but it'll be much later. It'll be like 25 in life instead of like 19 or 17. So he was with his friends, and one of them had a psychotic break under the influence of psychedelic mushrooms, and he had all this, family trauma, and just it was genetic predisposition to it. But he stabbed the kid in the head with a clothes hanger, just like lost it.
Oh my
god! And so that all it's settled at some point, but it was like I was blown away this whole hearing this story. But he was in the hospital. the doctors were like, it's going to be, you're going to have to be in intensive care for like months, pretty much, and we don't know when you're going to be able to speak and all this stuff
Do
again.
you know what area
It was right like in the temple too, so it's like critical.
God.
Yeah, like right around the ear or something.
left?
I'm not sure. I think it's the left side. My left. Yeah, this left. Yeah. Yeah, need some more lines made. But he was already like he's a mycology student, so he was already studying microbiology and knew about lion's mane and its ability to regenerate nerves. And pretty much as soon as he was conscious again, him and his mom, who were on the same page, were like, we're gonna get you out of here and we're gonna just go do this at home because the doctor's gonna say you're here for who knows how long. They don't know. And so he was able to make an alarming recovery, just like incredibly fast within like a month, to where he was speaking again. And just by taking high doses of lion's mane.
In the form of the extract?
He was actually taking it in capsule form, but just, taking high doses of it. I'm not sure exactly what the dosage was, but definitely probably double at least what the capsules would prescribe.
So all capsules are powdered mushroom?
Well, there also is, I didn't touch on this earlier, but this is an important thing I probably should have brought up. There are mushroom extract powders, and it's so hard to differentiate in the market, but they'll take a liquid extract like this and
reconcentrate it back into the powder.
Into a powder to where it's dissolvable, because if you get mushroom powder and you add it to a beverage and it doesn't dissolve, then it's just the powdered mushroom. But if it's been extracted, then it should be more crystallized. And they do the same thing with like cannabis.
Mushroom as substrate.
Yeah, exactly.
Aren't they supposed to disclose this in the ingredients? What kind of, like, if it's an extract, like mushroom lion's mane, let's say extract, or lion's mane powder? Because this is what I've been
They'll always tell you
seeing.
if it's an extract because it'll cost a lot.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So if it's an extract, you will. This part
You'll know. You don't have to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of times, I feel like most companies that I've done research on, they're pretty good at disclosing exactly what's going on. Some of them aren't. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it's a lot of times it's just irresponsible, smaller companies who are like new and they just want to sell the product, and that's fine. But it's like you're missing a lot of frequently asked questions on your website. And you're missing a lot of details, like what is the ratio that you're extracting at? What alcohol medium are you using to extract? All the stuff that's just like, here, we're selling our premium extract $60. You know what I mean? So
I used to make salvia extract.
Yeah.
Because you could buy the plants, that was legal.
As long as you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's how it is with like poppy seeds. You know what I mean?
But a good 20x salvia, poppy seeds, you can basically make morphine.
As long as you don't know. That's what the legality is. It was like that with mushrooms too, where it's like if you harvest them wild and you don't know what they are, they're like, well, there's nothing really.
Because all these drugs come from plants, and the plants can't be illegal because they just grow. So that's the thing is like all these. There's a bit of a conundrum here with the way the whole law works.
For sure.
Because they're like, for example, mushrooms are illegal. Psychedelic mushrooms are illegal. It's one of the scheduled drugs, like everywhere.
Schedule 1. Right.
Schedule 1 as well, but. You can't prosecute somebody for having psychedelic mushrooms
when they have cows
100% because they grow out of the field.
Yeah.
There'd be a DEA raid going all the way down 95 on every cow field every spring.
Yeah. But just like you said, it's not just the consumption, it's the distribution, right?
That's right. Yeah, and they do a lot. They do a weird amount to fight it. The more than 20 years ago, the rate was $1.3 million a year that the state spends trying to eradicate gutter weed, and that was a long time ago. I have no idea how much people throw their seeds out of the car, and it grows weed on the side of the road.
Yeah, must be good. That must be the stuff I'm buying.
Very prolific.
Yeah,
and they modify the as well. They modify any grain that you get through any government or official source that's regulated.
Yeah,
they put things in the grain to prevent them from growing mushrooms. Like they go way out of their way.
Yeah, commercial cow feed does not yield. It's fungicidal. It does not yield mushrooms, which is wild to think about. It's
crazy to think how far that the government and people related to it have gone out of their way to stop medicinal plants from just growing everywhere, so that you have to go somewhere else. Right?
Well, a patient cured is a customer lost. So very.
That's true. Yeah.
Because otherwise, medicine just grows everywhere.
For sure.
It's just all around us, everywhere.
Yeah. So, we didn't finish the story of that man.
Well, he made his recovery, and now he is, pursuing his education, and he's very inspired by that. I mean, he has such a positive outlook, which is both surprising and also unsurprising, because it's like you feel like someone ordinarily who was attacked like that would be like hold some resentment and be like that was, maybe even want revenge. But he's like, I totally understand how that situation played out, and he has, he doesn't talk to this person obviously, but it's like he still thinks that there's such potent medicine and intrinsic value in mushrooms in general,
Yeah.
and that's why he's pursuing like microbiology. And I feel like that we're gonna see in 10 years where that story goes. Really, I feel like, you know, his journey's just begun, and it's gonna be super impactful on a lot of people.
So what this, like you mentioned earlier, that there is such high demand, like you mentioned the Google search for lion's mane, for
Right.
example. Do you, or maybe share your opinion, what spiked that interest, that sudden interest? Because it's not that they're new
Right, it's been around forever. You know what I mean?
in mushrooms. Is it correct to call them adaptogenic mushrooms?
I would say they're adaptogenic. You know, that's a
But it's
bit of a
kind of
flowery-
limiting definition, right? Because they're not just adaptogenic mushrooms.
Oh, for sure. But I think
Right.
every definition we're going to put on them is going to be limited. Because I'll say they're culinary, but they're also medicinal, but they're also, you know.
Most of the terms are
there's a lot-
marketing related, aren't they?
Agreed. Yeah, I think a lot of it's flowery marketing language,
Yeah.
entheogen, you know,
Yeah.
all those words that are just like adaptogenic, immunomodulator. I hear that one a lot. And it's
Yeah.
true, but it is a bit of a, I think a nootropic and adaptogenic are both very marketing centric words. But it's unfortunate because it is that at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's not untrue, but it's also like
They want to describe something that we don't have measurable terms for yet. We don't have a measure for your immune system without like a lot of work. Like
Right.
there's nothing you can take and quickly measure your immune response. You'd have to do surface antigen tests and all sorts of tests to know what's really benefiting your immune system. Otherwise, you have to. It's anecdotal. You can presume based on how you feel.
Well, speaking of nootropic effects, if I take like half of this bottle of lion's mane, am I gonna have a nootropic effect?
I mean,
You're gonna grow a lion's mane.
yeah. I mean, from everything that I've read, like a regular dose of lion's mane is about like 500 to 1,000 milligrams, which is what our dosage is as well. But I've also read you can do 1,000 to 2,000, and then I've heard some anecdotal, of course, because that's where we're at right now with this as a functional medicine. I've heard anecdotal evidence of like someone took a lot of lion's mane and were like they close their eyes and see like flashing lights, because if you think about it, it's firing neural pathways.
Yeah.
So there's some sort of activation that's happening there.
What's the LD50?
That's what that's exactly what I was going to say. I want to know what the upper limit is, and maybe I'll do just some personal experimentation to see. I don't think, I mean, like, you know, a lot of mushroom substances don't have an LD40. They're just not toxic in any way. But there's other things besides lethal dosage, like maybe it's lethal for your ego in some instances, or
I like
lethal
that.
for
things that are lethal for
yeah,
me.
for sure, yeah. But for some people, it can be a very scary experience. So I don't think everyone's ready for it. But with lion's mane, the only side effects that I can find are like if you're allergic to mushrooms. So yeah, obviously, you know what I mean.
Right, yeah.
Or some people just experiences. It's also anecdotal, and there's not sufficient clinical trials to show that there's negative side effects of it. Like we see all the clinical trials that say like, you know, neurogenesis helps regenerate neural pathways, inflammation, all that stuff. But there's not something that's like, there's not something alarming that's been coming up in the research where it's, you know, LD40 related.
Nobody's overdosed yet on lion's mane.
I'm trying it. I'm trying to every day. We'll see. I just remember everything.
Well, I had that. The reason I also asked about the chocolate, remember? Chocolate.
So, Alexandra had quite an interesting experience after taking several
medicinal chocolates.
4 times, yeah. And they had
I don't know
lion's
about
mane
4
and
times.
reishi extract.
I think that one just has, maybe it does. I don't know. It's but it's basically all the adaptogenic mushrooms.
Right.
Yeah. So, and they, in the form of chocolate,
right,
dark chocolate, and
right.
then they.
Good choice.
Yeah, and then I guess it was a higher dose than, but I did experience.
She went from feeling calm. We were like the calming, mellowing effect to
which I enjoyed. You know, that's the purpose. Like, kind of mellow you out.
Right.
You know, be present.
Suddenly,
connected.
she was outside of time itself.
Yeah. Outside the frames. Like you said, like someone had the strobing effect, the flashing effect. My effect was like, if this is a film, like they were missing frames.
Oh,
and I could get stuck in those missing frames of complete like darkness.
Interesting.
But then I started seeing the future. And Bill would say something like, I knew you would say that. I knew you would do that.
That is interesting.
But yeah, that's why I asked, like, because Bill's like, there's no way this is just lion's mane in the region.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
don't know.
For me, it always comes down to, we have to dig a little deeper. Like, where are the mushrooms from? I feel like there can be things that we did not account for in the growing process. And if they're not disclosing, I mean, 90% of our mushrooms come from China. It's just they're very good at producing it. In Asia, they've been doing it for centuries longer than we have in the U.S. So, it can be unclear what the growing conditions are from.
Can't you also modify mushrooms so that they can produce other compounds? You can make them make pretty much anything.
I haven't personally done this. It probably can be done, I'm not experienced enough to speak on the matter. But
I read that pharmaceutical companies are using mushrooms to produce various compounds. That they'll modify the mushrooms and get the mushrooms to produce other medicinal compounds. Because it's very easy, they said, to genetically modify the mushroom.
Interesting.
And then you can basically just get a mushroom to produce almost any compound.
Wow. It's that's very interesting. A little organic manufacturing kind of compound making.
When you say like compound, what do you mean?
So you could take something you want to make, like ecstasy. Say you want to make MDMA.
For some reason, if you wanted to.
If you wanted to, yeah. And it's very difficult.
But you don't know.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't know what it is, right?
And you know that when you tried to make it, you keep, having meth as a derivative, and that it's hard to get a triple meth compound to bond very well, and that the temperatures have to be right. Everything requires certain conditions, which then requires certain things that in result is you have to have this whole lab. So it becomes.
Or you could have one mushroom.
Or you could have a mushroom that you genetically modify in CRISPR.
How does it produce it? Does it come out as like out of the gills, like crystals? Like when you see spores, does it produce it in that way?
So each one apparently can
Ecstasy
do it in different
spores.
ways, and you can make it.
Right.
What's it called? There's a term for it. You can make it like where undifferentiated tissue differentiates and becomes a certain thing. There's a term for that process. But basically, you can have it choose to become a certain type of cell that will produce pretty much any compound within limits.
The original 3D printer.
Yeah.
As long as it's produced somewhere organically, as long as it has an organic derivative on some level.
So it has to be an organic compound.
It has to be something that's ever produced organically
Gotcha.
somewhere.
Which is a lot of things. That covers a lot of bases.
Yeah, that's right. It's most things at some level. Because you can, for example, even like a lot of drugs that we take are metabolites inside of us, in our own.
True. Yeah, like we have, the pineal gland that produces DMT or something. Not that I know, but...
I would love to have one produce DMT. That is my...
The DMT mushroom.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it unfortunately becomes an invasive species.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately. I think about that a lot. I think about creating invasive mushroom species. Because we have oyster mushrooms that are prolific that we grow. We have an exhaust fan that exhausts all the spores out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder where they go. And, I mean, we don't have the climate in Florida to produce them, I think. But it would not
Don't you think we already have invasive? I mean, that's what black mold is.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's an invasive fungus.
Yeah. I mean, you could just never get rid of black mold. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Noah had a different type of mushroom, different type of fungus being invasive, not mold.
Exactly.
I think that we are missing a lot of biology that is going to have to get filled in with the understanding of mycology that we're really behind on.
For sure.
Because it's possible that we evolved from mushrooms anyway.
Yeah, I love this one.
The theory that they are extraplanetary, that mushrooms
are aliens. I mean, part of the theory is, spores have the approximate hardness of metal, and they can carry information they don't expire, and they can travel on winds, so you're talking solar winds from another planet, they land, and the rest is human history. Right. But also the fact that we're, more closely related to mushrooms than we are to plants, given the cell structure and all of that. It becomes fascinating, and I love to entertain these ideas.
Right.
Because why not? You know what I mean? It's more fun whenever we look at it that way. I think that people who are like deniers of things like that, it's, just not a fun conversation anymore.
So going back to, why do you think that interest suddenly spiked like a few years ago?
Yeah, I don't know. That is very good. I think it's so multifaceted. I think that people are increasingly fed up with pharmaceutical. And over time, we're now seeing huge side effects from long-term use of certain pharmaceuticals, and also short-term things where, we'll be taking a prescription for 5 years and then it gets recalled because of, oh crap, we didn't foresee,
right, yeah.
or we did foresee, but we had to make a quick buck. And so people, I see this so much, and when I engage with the community, people who are buying our products, whether it's the fresh mushrooms or the extracts, they're like, I was diabetic and I weighed this much, and then I had to change my life. I had to change my diet. I started with a diet. And I've heard this story from so many people where they're like, I was, 100 pounds overweight and I had to switch my diet, and I switched to plant-based, and that might not work for everybody. I'm not here to,
right.
Push plant-based on people, but through that they were able to reduce back problems they were having and blood pressure problems and all and innumerable problems. Yeah. And then now they're healthy, and they attribute it to diet and things like that. So I think more people are coming back to nature. We've been increasingly upping our dosage with prescriptions, and 1 in 2 Americans are on one antipsychological, like some sort of psychological compound,
and then painkiller.
Right, exactly. And then of those people, a majority of them are on more than one.
Yeah.
So you just have this, and most people are fed up with it because it's like side effects, riddled with side effects.
And expensive.
Expensive.
Ridiculously expensive.
Exactly, for no reason. Whenever, without side effects, we could find a natural compound that is abundant and produces the same, if not better, results. So why wouldn't we? So I think that the knowledge is just spreading. I don't know exactly. It doesn't seem to me like there is a single turning point where.
Right. Yeah. It never is.
Right.
Yeah.
There's certainly a lot of things that are catalysts for that change. Like we have the biggest thing I hear is the Fantastic Fungi documentary on Netflix. People like Paul Stamets going on Joe Rogan, which reached millions of people, because I hear a lot of people talk about that. Otherwise, no one really know who he is besides people who are niche mycologists.
Right.
I think that really opened people's eyes to that, and then
for me it was Paul Stamets.
Yeah, for sure.
Started the whole resurgence of it.
I love the documentary.
I love it. I think it was amazing. Yeah.
I think it's also helped a lot by companies that are researching this, and there's money in it now.
There is money in it now. That's the thing. It's that it's cheap to produce. I think a huge marketing thing, I brought this up earlier, and now we can delve into it, the mushroom coffee. So many people ask me about mushroom coffee, and it's because it's a cheap product to produce.
No, the mushroom drink.
Oh, yeah, both of them. So mushroom coffees, you can just buy powdered lion's mane from China for very cheap, and then get ground coffee and just mix that up, and it's a very simple, rudimentary mushroom coffee, because through the hot water extraction of the coffee beans, you're extracting the lion's mane as well. Is it super effective? Probably not, but it's very marketable.
Yes.
Because people are seeing stuff like this on Netflix, and they're like, oh, here's a product that can offer me those benefits to some extent. And it's also cheap for a company to produce, so all their budget goes into marketing, and then we have things like Mud, Water, and Rise, which may or may not work for some people, but the thing that I like about it is that we're having the conversation now, where people come up to me, and they've heard about our product because of this huge marketing campaign by large companies. So then they're able to then find a smaller person, because I think a lot of people will maybe try that, or they'll hear about it and they're like, okay, I want that, but I want a smaller brand that cares more about it, who's local, where I can, enrich the local economy.
And you can educate them.
Exactly,
it's like the hook.
And they're going to educate them as well, which is great. That does so much heavy lifting, because they already read about the benefits from this huge company. So a lot of that, they come to me already knowing what the product does, and then they can actually experience, maybe a higher quality version.
I love the way you found a way to make this a totally, in business you look for a win-win, but you've managed to make it an ecosystem where everything wins.
Oh, for sure. And we continue to facilitate and enrich a local ecosystem, just because, a big part of my mission is education and then giving back to the community. So it's like, I want to approach the entire operation with that mindset, where it's like, we have to make sure that we're giving as some part of it. And it's like the compost, once we harvest the mushrooms, we get a few harvests out of it, we'll say 2 pretty consistently. That's all compost that goes back to the community for free. And it's like, people have said you can sell that. It's not worth pinching pennies for me, where I can have an opportunity to share, like, engage the community, people who are gardeners who are finding out about this stuff. It's like gold to them.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, I don't need to be greedy about it. That's not where I make my money. And then also with the education, like being a beacon of education where people can come to me with any question, and like, we can go to elementary schools and teach kids how to grow mushrooms on cardboard, because I didn't know about lion's mane until I was 23 years old. And it's like, I probably would have a lot healthier development if I was eating more mushrooms growing up, especially with Lions Mane, I'd probably be a little more better not losing my keys, for instance, So, and the kids are blown away by it. Like, you go to these third graders, and they're so engaged the entire time. And it's, we're able to produce results for them in like 2 weeks. So it's a newfound, hobby. And then those kids, I imagine, will go on to change the world through, some of them will go on to change the world. So
it's very fascinating that mushrooms don't mind being eaten too.
Well,
like, it's how they spread.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
Like everything else.
It's their secret goal.
Yeah, like everything else. Like when you eat it, you kill it. Animals are the most seem to not like being eaten according to us, because we view complaining as an important factor of life.
Evolutionary benefit, right?
And we recently learned that plants complain as well. That
they
plants
scream.
Also are
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's cyclical, and I think mushrooms are. If we're getting a little woo-woo here, I think that mushrooms are, if they are some being that's from another planet that's been around for millennia, whatever, then it's cyclical, and they know that when we die, they break us down too. So it's
like,
it's
my
not like
time will come.
Yeah, that's
I'll
like
eat you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll get back at you.
It's fascinating that the part you eat of the mushroom is almost always at the flowering body, the fruit that basically it wanted you to eat. It's spreading itself. That's how it travels. It gets around.
Right.
By you eating it.
I have a fun theory. We were talking about Cordyceps earlier, which is the zombie fungus. The spores get into the brain of an ant, and then that ant will, once infected, it's under the control of Cordyceps. Like, literally, it will go into the colony.
And infect them.
Yeah, it will die. The mushroom comes out of its head and spreads spores to all the other ants. So that way the organism can keep living. If other ants see this, they'll carry it away as far away from the tribe as possible. That way, when it dies, the spores don't infect everything else. So the fact that battle is happening, and it's like it's very similar. Whenever you eat mushrooms, you're like, these are amazing. I want to share these with all my friends. So something's going on there. I think, and there's this book. Oh man, if I could remember this book, I didn't read it. That's why I can't remember it. But I just know what it's about. But it's about like who domesticated who, essentially. When we think about coffee. We domesticated coffee plants so we could consume it, but also that relationship goes both ways, where coffee relies on us to keep it prospering. It's not going to fail because we are addicted to it and we need it. So in the same way, mushrooms know that if we enjoy them and their experience, we're going to share them. They're going to proliferate. Where now it's like, I am growing an insane amount of mushrooms because I enjoyed them. So on some level, there might be, some sort of living being that knows, some sort of ancient wisdom. So it's all fascinating, and it's a fun theory to play around with.
Absolutely,
I read that salvia is presumed that it would have been extinct if it wasn't preserved by monks.
Right, yeah.
And that it's been cultivated, and that the reason why that particular strain has the properties it has is that it's the one that was preserved. That there were many, many other ones that had different properties, but we don't know what they really did because we don't have them anymore.
Right, and plants, we know that humans learn more in a human lifespan than like plants will, but plants already have all this knowledge. They know exactly how big to get. They know exactly, they already know everything. We don't have to teach plants, and so for them to have all that knowledge, they probably know how to use other organisms for their benefit as well as just some DNA encoding that they've been programmed from forever ago.
Wow.
An anthropologist called it an innate response mechanism. And he said that what we think of as our religion is just our innate response mechanism because we're story-based creatures. So we keep
telling the same story over and over. You know what I mean?
So it's a story that's true and not at the same time because it's our story. It's something within us.
Innate response.
And that it's our instinct.
Yeah. That's a pretty good one. Because we find that we tell the same stories as humanity over and over again for millennia. That's a deep one to get into.
Because the storytelling is the most recent part of the brain.
Really?
Well, I think no.
I believe that.
Isn't it the cortex?
I presume it is.
I don't think you're like mid or low brain.
Right, that doesn't make sense for it to be.
I presume it is based on rarity.
Right.
Because other creatures just don't use language that way. For example, cats and dogs, they don't read a bunch of steps ahead. That's why a cat will scoot over a dish and eat from it, and then the other cat will scoot it back over.
But also
they don't get mad or anything.
Yeah, they kind of... I guess it can become innate as the neocortex, as the new brain becomes, becomes older. It's just like such a new evolution in terms of our timeline. It's such a new part.
Yeah, I believe that we see that brain grow exponentially. That section of the brain grow exponentially, inexplicably, about at the same time that we were leaving the shrinking forest, the rainforest of Africa, onto the plains, and starting to eat mushrooms. Coincidentally, because if you're a hunter gatherer and you're out there and there's a giant mushroom, you're gonna eat it, and then all of a sudden you're experiencing empathy and learning. You're having what is it? Synesthesia. Synesthesia. Yeah, where you're combining senses, which is like assigning meaning to sounds. Which is language. Mm-hmm. So all that stuff is very fascinating.
So how do they know that they were consuming mushrooms?
I mean, whenever we look at like the oldest, living being or oldest preserved being that we found, I think is that the Iceman. I could be totally wrong here. I've read,
And so
they found he had mushrooms with him that were the tinder mushroom that they would use to transport fire. Because it burns really slow and you can transport embers in this mushroom. Also, they were used for art because you could carve onto them. And then it's a polypore mushroom that he had. So there's either it was a tinder mushroom for transporting fire. He's in the icy mountains, so it could be, but it also could be a medicinal use for it. So
man, life was so tough.
Yeah.
Kind of transport fire on a
mushroom. But also that's some technology that we're missing out on. You know what I mean? So simpler times.
So historically, when mushrooms became like a part of culture, you mentioned China. So is this like historically a region where
history? We learn so much.
Right, so it's getting updated.
It changes, yeah. But we definitely see in Algeria, in some of the oldest cave paintings in northern Africa, we see mushroom. It's very obviously like people with mushroom heads. And it's like, well, what could that be? Someone who ate mushrooms and then had an experience, you know what I mean? And
we're talking about those mushrooms. Okay.
Right, for sure. Well, for sure. I mean, who knows how far the diet went, the plate that they're having.
As far as I know, I don't know of any particular point in the recorded history that we know of that mushrooms that don't find use with people.
For sure, yeah. Because, I mean, the average hominid, had more individual skill. Like now we become specialized, but back then we were more able to do all things. So and that way better with plants and identifying them and knowing what is good to eat and
so. And I mean specifically psychedelic mushrooms.
For sure, yeah.
Every culture has.
Oh yeah, you find it in every culture. You find the symbolism of it.
Which is another thing I find interesting about this particular effect is that these mushrooms in every culture and every part of the world have interfaced with human brains again and again and again in a very particular reaction.
Right. It's always very confounded, very religious experiences. And then, because of that, then if they create art based on it.
None of them just get you like high like morphine.
Right.
None of them get you like high like cocaine.
Right.
They all, different there's a ton of different types and a ton of different people, but they do the same complicated reaction when they break down.
Interconnected. Yeah, and a lot of it, they say like that's where we stopped being tribal and became more organized because we had that interconnectedness, and it lends like whenever you're taking psychedelic compounds, it lends to empathy where you're more understanding of each other, and leadership where you're able to be courageous. There's African tribes that have they're different entheogens for battle. So they would take, they had like a stomach hanging on a tree, and you would take this one if you were going to fight a lion because it was like it would give you the strength that you needed for that. Or if you were going to war, you would take a certain one. And I mean, there's an extensive.
This is from Terence McKenna and Jonathan Ott is the research you're talking about.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's probably I heard it from.
Yeah, so cool. Else. I love all that.
I know.
He wrote about this in a book called Food of the Gods.
Oh yeah, that's a good book. And then there's a book about the Catholic Church and mushrooms, and that's a fun read. And I could be totally wrong here. But, I always want to say, fact check me. But I'm pretty sure when that book was published, the Catholic Church bought every copy of it. It was like,
Burn.
Yeah, for sure. But you can get it now because they've done a good job of erasing all symbolism.
Because they can't keep buying all of them.
For sure, yeah. They could. They got the money. They got the power, but...
Yeah.
They
would just keep printing them. That'd be the best book-selling strategy.
Yeah, they should have never invented that printing press. They regret the printing press now,
Yeah.
It's being used against them, so...
Did you hear as well that I think in this one of those books, I forgot which one it is, they talk about manna... in the Bible was the only thing that makes sense in that region and that would track for this thing that they had to eat in the morning. It goes bad and it would be filled with bugs if they didn't eat it right away.
Manna, yeah.
Yeah, and then they were also wandering around following a cloud by day and fire by night.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a whole series of things that kind of ties in to they could have very well just been eating mushrooms.
And it's far from the only mention of it too. It's like, in that text, but also globally in all texts.
And they would grow quickly. They could grow seemingly overnight.
Right.
So you would, and if you don't have food and you're trying out different
doesn't sound
stuff,
like bread, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like fruit, so.
Yeah.
I like that. I never thought about this, that the fact that at least, the psychedelic, the magic mushrooms have, as compared to other drugs, that unity, right? That connectedness.
Right.
And it's the same, basically, how mushroom systems, right? Like network.
Yeah.
Rather, like communicate and exist.
They seem to have something to say.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is going really into a wobbly area.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So, are there any exciting things we should be like sitting on the edge of our chair for?
Yeah.
Like, turkey tail.
What would you like to, what can we plug as we...
Man, so many secrets.
No secrets. Just anything you're ready to share.
I have all these secrets. I have a workshop every month where I teach how to grow mushrooms. And you pick what variety, if it's reishi, lion's mane, oysters, whatever we have available.
Where's your workshop?
It's at our farm here in Jax. So if you're a Floridian, we've had people drive from Georgia and from West Palm. I'm blown away. I had a guy find me on YouTube, and then he's taken the class twice. He's come down from Georgia. And I was like, you're doing the same thing, He's like, dude, it's awesome. And it's so worth it. So...
What a cool idea.
And I'm so grateful to be that where I can share information.
Yeah.
It gives such meaning in life. And that is like, we're all looking for purpose.
How big are the workshops?
How
many people?
It's like 8 people that we can fit in there. And that's like, I try to make sure everyone has the attention that they need because there's so many questions. Like we don't get to cover remotely all the things I'd like to. So, we have, I do an advanced workshop as well, but that one's kind of like a pre-order. And then once we get enough seats, then we can release it.
And is this on your website?
It is on the website. Yeah, it's on the gram.
The link is down below to the website.
And
what up, chat?
Is it monthly?
It's every month, yeah. We took a little break during summer because it's hot. We want people to enjoy the workshop. So when it cools off, it's a lot nicer.
Okay.
Besides that, we are working on a mushroom coffee. It's true. It's going to be a canned coffee beverage. So I like coffee. So... And I like mushrooms.
You're going to be competing against Rudolph Giuliani's coffee.
Who's that?
You're not really...
Who?
You won't be worried about that at all.
Yeah.
So, I have a question.
Your coffee makes you smarter.
And you're going to use the extract?
It's going to be just a hot water extract. So, in my opinion, it's going to be missing some of the valuable terpenes and stuff that comes out of the alcohol extraction. But we also want to make it an accessible product. Right. I think like a $7, $8 price tag is not accessible. So, it allows us to have medicinal value where it's just the hot water, polysaccharides, beta-glucans, things like that are hot water soluble. And then also still taste good because I don't want to ruin coffee. I feel like if you're having a mushroom coffee, you're like, you didn't make coffee, you're not making mushrooms better, you're making coffee worse.
Right, yeah.
So I want it to be a good product. I want to be able to enjoy it. So.
And it's going to be cans.
It's going to be cans, like $5 for a can. And we're partnering with a local business. I don't want to say who, but it is going to be a local product.
How awesome. Okay.
I know. So keep your eyes peeled.
Okay,
I don't know.
It's exciting.
It's
exciting.
Yeah, you know how production, we don't make promises in distribution because there's going to be something.
Yeah, well.
Forklift's going to crash. So something, you
No.
never know. We're ready for it.
Do we have wood? Can you touch wood somewhere?
Knock wood. Thanks.
Yeah.
And a good time. When it's ready, it'll come out.
Precisely, yeah.
This year.
So people could check in on your workshops.
Right.
They should look forward to this new coffee coming out.
Right. Well, I normally buy mushrooms if you want to just taste these fresh beauties at Riverside Arts Market. I know you have also placement at the 5 Points Farm.
Right. We try to be accessible for people, so we're trying to be all over, but also The website's on there, and so you
Yes.
can order on our website and then pick up directly from us.
Yes, from the farm.
If
Okay,
you're anywhere
perfect.
in the world and you want to drive to us, you're welcome to, and I'll welcome you.
It's
And
harmonymushrooms.com.
Yeah.
Mushroom. And then one more question. Can people visit the farm?
It's like appointment based.
Okay, so they
Yeah,
can.
but yeah, it is.
'Cause I had a few people asking, can I see?
Yeah, if they send me an email, I'm happy to set up a tour. It's just, I also live there. You know, as a small business operator, we're working with what we got. So
Right, no, I love
so
it.
sometimes people do show up at my house, and if you do that, I'm not mad, and I will give you a tour. But it's best to give you the best experience where I didn't just wake up from a nap and I'm like, what do you do? Who are you?
Yes.
You know, like, to give you the best experience, let's organize it. Yeah, send me an email, and I am so happy to share everything that I've learned. So.
Do you need to wear like full hazmat?
No, you don't. No, it's not
Can
the
you
most.
spray them down?
For sure. Yeah, we do hose them down. It has nothing to do with the farm, though. That's just
just
for
for
hate.
fun.
Yeah, for fun. Yeah, for fun. No, we do. It's a quick tour, and it's not. We don't have like a huge commercial lab where it's like we have to be super sterile. Like I said, it's about resourcefulness. So we're working with what we got, and that's my big message to people. It's like, if you're a business owner, it's all about resourcefulness. It's not about resources. So just use what you got, and I think we're a great demonstration of that, where it's just being creative with what's
that.
available.
Resourcefulness versus resources.
Yeah, it's not about resources, it's about resourcefulness.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
me
great.
too. I think
Yeah.
that's great, Noah. Awesome. Well, then I think we got a good point to draw the line at the right time for the end of this show.
The
No,
lines-
let's keep
the
talking.
lines.
That was it too. I'll come back.
We
We
want to
have-
have you
Yes.
back. I got a
We have
lot
so much to talk
with-
about.
Yes.
I want to go off the rails with a psychedelic mushroom
Oh, for sure.
conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that's a whole separate podcast. So we'll plan on that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that I could connect you with that are great podcasters in that community, and that would be
Yes.
that'd be a lot of fun. So
Awesome.
we'll go on their podcast for that one. You know?
Awesome. But thanks for sharing today
Yes,
with
For
us.
sure.
Thank you so
Really
much.
Yeah, you
Thank you
guys
for
are amazing.
gorgeous gifts. I
Yeah.
can't wait to.
It doesn't even feel like it's been an hour. I feel like we could talk all day. It's great.
Precisely,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Now
all.
we'll
It
go
always feels this way.
Now we'll go have some lunch somewhere and
Okay.
continue that. So
Right
thank
on.
you. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Ciao.
Yeah.